Kendrick Lamar, over the course of 1 week, dropped 4 diss tracks following Drake's attempts to fight back to his shots on Like That. And honestly, it was a massacre. It was pretty bad. Now, as much as it'd be fun to go through each and every line and double entendre and every single reference to a Stranger Things character or missing child, everyone online is kind of already doing and or did that already. I'm kind of late to this whole fiasco, I'm not going to lie to you. Please don't bury me, YouTube algorithm. So what I'd like to do is go into the sounds of these diss tracks, specifically why Meet the Grahams, with its repeated keynotes, sounds so eerie and unsettling, sort of like a creeping thought in the back of your skull. Now, I'm not great at music theory, but I do have a keen interest in things that sound weird or creepy. Like take this normal C chord. Sounds pretty alright, but what if we add a sixth? A sixth is the sixth note in the scale, and it sounds like way more creepy, way more dissonant. And then all we have to do now is add a 13th and we get... But still, with my lack of knowledge on scales or modes in totality, I decided to do my own research on the track to see what I can find. And before I continue, a realization was made. Not for Meet the Grahams, but for the sister chart-topping track, Not Like Us, in which, during Kendrick's titular line... Did I write the word titular? Trying to strike a chord and it's probably A minor, his inflection actually represents A minor, going from a C to an A to an E. Trying to strike a chord and it's probably A minor. And although the root note is not an A in this chord, the makeup of the chord is still the A minor chord, consisting of an A, a C, and an E. The key for the overall song seems to be C sharp major, although one could argue that the C sharp major key could also be the A sharp minor key, being its relative key. All this to say, not only does Not Like Us go hard in the paint, let's be honest here, musically it follows a thematic narrative which is kind of insane. However, we're here to talk about Meet the Grahams. The song starts off with a full triad chord, before turning into another triad chord, a whole tone up. Can you guess which chord it starts off with? Yep, it's A minor. And funnily enough, this is actually the key of Meet the Grahams, A minor. I've seen some people say that it's F major or D minor, but no, it's just A minor. I'm not arguing, it's A minor. And although I'm not a music theory whiz, in fact, doing this video reminded me why sound design interests me more than music theory, I can provide enough evidence to explain why it's in A minor. Theory 1. The song starts with an A minor chord. That was simple enough. Theory 2. Come on, man. But to finally prove it's not just unjust Kendrick worship, I've pulled forth my undisputed piece of evidence in Theory 3. A guy on Twitter said so. Starting from the verses, all the keynotes are natural notes. Natural notes being notes that are neither flat nor sharp, i.e. the white keys. But the only difference being the inclusion of D flat. And it's this constant D flat that keeps on making the song sound weird. Here we can see the progression of the lead piano. But it's here that we get the third raise to a semitone, resulting in the D flat. This happens over and over again, especially due to the song's repetitive nature, until the fourth bar, where we finally get a natural fallback to C. As for the backing piano, the same can be said, utilizing the D flat in its arpeggiated A7 third inversion chord. Excuse me, what does third inversion mean? Well, it's an A7 chord, but the bass note is the 7th note instead of the root, like so. Yeah. What is an A7 chord? An A7 chord is really just an A chord with a dominant 7th. What's a dominant 7th? It's the major 7th, which would only be a half step away from A, pushed down another half step. So then we get... Okay, I get it. I get everything up until now, but why is it called a dominant 7th? This arpeggiated A7 keeps on going on and on until we reach that fourth bar, where instead we arpeggiate an A minor chord. Altogether, we get But Cinemark, how do we still know it's an A minor? Despite it resolving to A minor multiple times, it still has a flat D. Theory 5. Honestly, it's just what makes sense. Like I already said, it resolves to an A minor key multiple times and starts with an A minor chord as well. One could argue the F key again and say it's F Lydian, as the A minor scale looked a lot like the F Lydian scale. But following the example of the music theory maestro himself, if I were to put a droning F over the whole thing, it still sounds like there's some work to be done. But if I were to put an A over the whole thing, it sounds right at home. The inclusion of the D flat could just be a bebop thing. A bebop scale is an 8-note scale that has a passing chromatic note stuck into whatever scale it's supposed to be. That might be, that is an oversimplification, do not quote me on that, but it explains why it exists in the first place. And that's why Meet the Grahams sounds so unsettling, because the A minor key sounds so unsettling. On top of that, the inclusion of the D flat makes things sound somewhat major, but only for a half second before going back to a minor feel. It's this constant wooing and unsure of where it's supposed to be that makes everything sound so spooky. I might be hyping up everything a tad bit in this last paragraph, and maybe there is some hidden name in the ancient scriptures to describe the exact mode and the exact scale that the song is in, but with this notable creepy sound, all I can say is that it definitely struck a chord.